another nugget that you'd like to share with our audience that you think is really important in communication with intimate partnership?
Something I get asked about all the time is how to communicate your needs or your boundaries without feeling needy or like coming across as demanding. Do you hear that as well? Would that be helpful to share?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, question I get all the time. Now, my videos on YouTube and my books and programs are geared towards women, but I think it would be helpful for the men to hear this too. For the women I've worked with, I talk about this in terms of making requests from your feminine energy. Right. So rather than, we talked about this a little earlier in this video, why don't you do this? How come you don't call me anymore? Why do you never do the dishes? Right. Kind of placing demands or, conveying your disappointment. It's all about where you're coming from. So if you're coming from this place where you're just expressing how it would feel, right? Something I get asked about all the time is contact, right? So it feels incredible to get your good morning text, or it feels so good hearing your voice at the end of a long day. That just makes me feel so safe and so relaxed, versus I really need you to call me at the end of every night, right?
Yeah.
So you're just
Like positive reinforcement.
yeah, yeah. A little template that you can use is I feel, I don't want, and what do you think? I got this from my mentor years ago, Rory Ray, who's just brilliant at communication, right? So it feels so good hearing from you. I don't want to, I don't want to put pressure on you or make you feel like you have to do this, but just something that would feel really good is just to call me in the evening when you get home, just to make sure you got home safe. What do you think? And then he responds, and then he can counter offer, or he can, most men, they want to meet your needs and make you happy. They'd be thrilled, right? So I feel, I don't want, what do you think? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Could you put it in like a sentence again, like you did?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Do you have a specific scenario in mind, or you could give me a bunch of them.
Like a
Boundary.
nighttime call or text.
Yeah. It feels so good hearing from you. I love hearing your voice, right? I don't want to put pressure on you. I don't want to tell you what to do or make you feel like you have to do something, but it just feels so good hearing from you in the evening, just to make sure you got home safe from work or whatever the situation is. What do you think? Right? And then you just stop and see what he says. And it's important to not have a strong agenda here. If you're doing that because you're trying to make him do what you want, he's going to feel that, right? Men are really sensitive to this, and women too. This kind of goes both ways, right? I'd love to hear any response from the men watching this. It'd be interesting to hear. But that's the template, and it could go for any situation in relationships, right? A man wants to move things forward physically, maybe earlier than the woman's ready. It's something I hear all the time, right? So it feels so good being with you. It just feels incredible being close with you. And that's really something I'm looking forward to, and I don't want to do that before I feel ready. Or for me, it really, I feel comfortable getting intimate within the context of a more committed relationship, or at least a sexually exclusive relationship. And it would feel good to know if we're on the same page before moving forward. What do you think? Right? So this feels great, and it would feel incredible to sleep with you. I'm looking forward to that. And what I would need in order for that to happen is this, and state your boundary. And what do you think about that? Rather than getting defensive and overextending your boundaries out, like, well, I don't sleep with men before I'm in a relationship. And then there's no room for them to come forward. So expressing your boundaries that way is so important. I've just seen that work wonders over and over and over, really in any situation. What are your thoughts on that? Have you heard that before?
I have heard that, but you said it so clearly. I love how that works that way. What stood out for me about that was when you were talking about going into something with an agenda, like, because then your words aren't going to match what your true intention is, and they're going to be able to feel that. So really being curious, like going in, and you get to ask to have your needs met, but they can say no too. So that is the opportunity there for you to find out if you're going to be able to cross that bridge together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to just throw in a quick little piece of advice for this works for men and women. Something I tell people all the time, they ask me, well, should I bring this up? Should I say something or should I not? Should I text him? Should I lean forward? Should I just be patient? Before you say or do anything, if you're wondering that yourself, you can always ask yourself, what am I hoping will happen? Great
Mm.
question. Everyone just write that down. What am I hoping will happen? And if you
Mhm.
can answer that strongly, like, well, I'm hoping he'll see what a great partner I am and ask me to be exclusive, or I'm hoping that he takes me to this specific place. And if he doesn't, I'm going to be totally devastated, right? That's a big clue to that you have an agenda, right? And just pull that back in. If there's something specific that you want, specifically ask for it. Don't hint around at it. I know men especially are not that inferential. They don't always get your hints. So women tell me all the time, like, well, I kind of told him. And I'm like, what exactly did you say? And I'm like, no, he has no idea that you're feeling all this stuff. So yeah, just be intentional. If you have an agenda, I think most people would just rather have you be open about it than try and subtly hide your agenda, then steer things in the direction you want. Just feels kind of manipulative. Even if, you can't put your finger on it, something about that just feels like, oh my gosh, get me out of here, right?
Yeah, I love this question. What am I hoping will happen? Like that is a really great thing that you can ask yourself. And I'm going to start asking myself before I go into, and it could even be, business situations
Oh
too,
yeah.
where you really get to get clear before you go in. Uh, that's great. Now, my question is, what advice would you give a woman who, I'm going to generalize right now, often run into women who say, you know, I want to be in a committed relationship and he's just like not going there. And how do they navigate that? Do you have any wisdom to share on
Oh
that?
yeah. Oh my gosh. So I another one of those, like, how much time do we have moments, right? Yeah, if we want to go back to that template I gave you, I feel, I don't want, what do you think? Works so good for any kind of negotiation or just expressing your needs and desires, right? So let's say a man, asks if you're dating other men, right? Like he kind of doesn't want to worry about competition, but you don't know if you're on the same page in terms of what you ultimately want, right? Or he asks you to be exclusive, but you really want to settle down and get married and have a family, and you don't know what he wants. I cannot tell you how many women I hear from who are like, they have this boyfriend for years and years, and they just never really had the conversation. They don't know if he wants something, a more serious commitment down the line. So you don't want to get stuck in that trap, right? So you want to start off on the right foot. So I feel, let's say he asks you if you're dating other men or to stop dating other men or something like that. It feels so good being with you. It feels incredible dating you and getting to know you. And what I'm really looking for is a real serious commitment. I'm really looking to settle down and get married and have a family one day. I'm just making this up off the top of my head. So insert what you want right there. I don't want is next, right? I don't want to put pressure on you and the relationship. So until I know that we're on the same page, it would feel good to just keep dating. What do you think? That's one example, right?
Mhm.
So let me just recap that because I had some explanation in there. Feels so good being with you. It would feel incredible to be exclusive, and I'm really looking forward to that. And, something you might want to know about me is what I'm actually looking for down the line is a real serious commitment or something that might lead to marriage and family. And, I don't want to put pressure on you or the relationship. So it would feel good to make sure we're on the same page before we make that big decision, before we jump into an exclusive relationship. What do you think? How did that land with you?
Wow, that's brilliant. So this whole, I feel what I want or what I don't want, what do you think? It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's good if you can start with a positive emotion. It feels so good being with you, or that would feel incredible. Here's
Mhm.
what I need in order for that to happen, or in order for me to feel comfortable. And what do you think? And coming from a place of just total curiosity, right? You're
Mhm.
actually curious, because what if he says, oh, well, I really don't want to settle down. I don't see myself ever getting married again, or I don't want kids. Like, that's really good information for you to have before jumping into an exclusive relationship and potentially spending years of your life with somebody, right?
Absolutely. I wish they taught this stuff in high school.
I know, me too.